All right. There's a few different ways you can build up a track. You can start introducing things like ride cymbals, crashes, whatever. But crashes are, they're effective and they work, but do something weird to them to make them more original sounding. You can add drums, you can add some claps, you can really start getting a little bit more intricate and start adding parts, because now we've got kind of like a bare bones sketch of the song. So as you go through, you're like, okay, it's boring here. Adding and subtracting things. Then you're gonna have start adding more layers and changing the drum machine patterns and things like that. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that intricate today, but you're starting to get it, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just tired of hearing people use like sirens and pitch raises.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. And and because we don't have the time to like create, this, a breakdown. A breakdown can go one of two ways. You can just have nothing happen, and it's very effective, right? You take everything away, and then, then it all comes back in and everyone's excited. Or you can get really intricate and start, finding all these weird like patches on synths and tweak them out and having like, roving modulation, and, whatever's working and whatever sounds cool. Like the breakdown is kind of no man's land. There really is no rule for it as long as it's cool or does nothing, you know? It's your choice, it's your prerogative. If you like the breakdown to be some kind of epic, 16, measure or 32 measure like craziness of nothing and building and swelling and everything slowly coming back in, you can do that. No one's stopping you. I certainly won't. And and it's all dependent on the track too. When you start getting a lot of layers in there, and it really like it starts to have like a crescendo piece and all that stuff. Like 129. Something should happen here. In my rule of being king for a day, what shall we do? Can we put some kind of orchestral sound, maybe? Orchestral strings. Maybe a staccato string. Sustained enough. Drop the vocal out there, people. So we're adding something whether we like it or not. Content doesn't matter. At least not right here, right now. Content matters with your own music, obviously, and when we're seriously working on something. And it was perfect. Let's eliminate you. Oh, Muddy the Mud Skipper. could totally do my figure skating routine to this.
You have one?
Who doesn't have a figure skating routine? You telling me you don't? 10? All right. Canadian figure skating, also known as hockey.
Memories of pain and hurt they can never meet. Why do my tears fall before I sleep? Memories of pain and hurt they can never meet.
We've had enough out of you strings. We just used you to make it interesting.
I had a question. Test. Jay, I see that on your the master out, it's down a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually when you're in the studio working, do you leave it at a unity gain?
What do you mean by unity gain? Like a low? It really as far as the master goes, I always try to keep it fairly low because any sort of digital distortion sounds shit. Because you can when it gets mastered or you master it or whatever, you're gonna bump it up. I like to keep my levels fairly low and not clipping, and when I usually start with my template, like everything's like all the channels are like down quite a bit because I just don't want to have that like.
I think he means because your master's not at Unity. Do you usually keep the master a little bit low and ride your inputs up, or do you keep it at Unity and the master and keep your inputs low?
Both.
So,
Both, yeah. Because with my sound card, I can just turn it up. I just like to have my signal like, fairly low. See, that's even getting kind of high there. It's peaking that yellow, and when you get down to the mix down phase, it's like we're not really at the mix down phase, and the mix down phase is dependent on your own set of ears, right? And also, like I referenced these monitors for a sec. I kind of have an idea of how they sound, but it's like not optimal working conditions, so we're not doing a mix down. But yeah, I try to keep the levels like nice and low because you can always bring volume up, of your master after when it gets mastered. Most labels will actually ask you for like a low, like at the most, at the most they'll want is like like a -6 or something. So labels like to have it low as well because the mastering guy is going to go and run it through like a beautiful studio full of analog gear, compressors, limiters, EQs, etc. They want to have a lot of room to work with. There was another hand that
you just answered the question.
Well, there you go. Psychic TV. I tend to really enjoy.
Scott?
Yes. I tend to really enjoy subtraction before the breakdown. I tend to like to strip it down before the breakdown, and then when you bring everything back, it has more of an impact. It also is track by track dependent, right? But I subscribe to the less is more theory. And let's see, what are we gonna do with you? Hmm, 97 looks ripe for a second bass line. Don't you? I'm just doing simple shit here. See, that made our 97 just a little bit more exciting. So does that help you guys out with some arrangement ideas and stuff? Just simple, you know, bare bones, drag it out, and then, you know, and you can just tell visually. It's like 97 something should happen, 129 something should happen, maybe 105 something should happen. You know, like all these, you know, whether it's a transition, a key change, adding another sound, changing the drums, muting something. You know, keep things cyclic and keep them moving. And you know, these main things are, you know, kind of your marker. And if it, you know, you don't need to follow like I need to change it at 105. This is the middle of the track. You can do whatever the heck you want. If you think that, you know, a ride cymbal should come in at 101 that picks it up, just do it. You know, there's just, you know, it's just a lot of like, you know, stuff that can be done. Whoa. That's a new one. If you shut down, your files will be deleted. How dare you treat me in such a way? I'm a human being, you know. Get that bass line all dark and dirty there. Row back up. Take it out at our little breakdown here. Or actually, we can just filter that shit to sub. Only a good sound system will hurt people with that. And back again. And you start going away for the mix out. And you're gone by 193. You and your friends, you've been kicked out of the bar by that point. I'm actually being really tame. I can get really weird sometimes in the studio. It's a marvel at all that I'm married.
Why do my tears fall before I sleep?
And I don't know if you noticed, I put a little distortion on the auto filter, just a 4% input and a 4% output. I kind of like a little bit of distortion on bass because it goes back to, using my mixing desk. If you give it just a little bit, like a nice warm analog desk that's got some tube in it, if you give it just a little bit of distortion, it actually just sounds so warm and fat. Also, if you're worried about your stuff sounding a little bit digital, one way to fatten it up, well, if you're going for it sounding really, really digital, that's cool. Some stuff sounds really amazing like that. But if you do want to fatten stuff up, there's a little secret, and San Francisco is a really good one for this. You can find like an old Tascam reel-to-reel or something like that. Record your stuff to it and bounce it back in the computer, and we'll add a shitload of warmth. And you can get those for like, God, there's a Technics one a friend of mine bought here a little while ago. It was like $25. You know, so it's not expensive.
What about an 8-track recorder?
An 8-track?
I have an 8-track recorder.
Like tape?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's awesome. You could do like sub-mix downs on that. It would sound pretty
It's
sweet.
really good quality, right?
It's really good quality. Yeah, totally. You know, if you've got an 8-track tape recorder, you know, subgroup your stuff, like all your drums together, you know, your bass on a channel, you know, et cetera, and do like a external mix down. It'll really warm it up. And anything you got, anything you can get your mitts on that makes it, you know, just adds that little bit of extra. Cleo?
What was the tape thing you said? The 25 bar?
Like a Tascam or a Technics or a reel-to-reel. Reel-to-reel or an 8-channel, 8-track thing. Any sort of, even DAT tape. DAT tapes are still a little bit expensive. I got a nice DAT machine at home. They do add some warmth, right? Yeah. Yeah, they do. I'm telling you. They add some warmth, you know? It's like, you know, I buy a lot of stuff on vinyl, and then I record it into the computer, and it just sounds fatter, you know? You play and then I do a little bit of extra mastering on it just to, you know, boost the level, and, you know, and then play the wave file of the recorded vinyl, and it sounds bigger, you know? Analog in a lot of extent is better, and you can get your hands on really cheap hardware. You know, like I said, that THX1Z that I had, I think it's worth like $10 or something, and it's amazing sine tone generator. Shit sounds like huge, just huge. Like, so yes.
Yeah. So this track is all in one key.
Yeah.
If you were going to a different key, what would be like an effective way to transition to a different key to get some more energy in the track?
Like a key change or something?
Yeah, key change.
Well, yeah, whatever sounds natural, really.
What would be a good way to go from, like, say, the key of D to the key of, I don't know, G without it sounding like you just glue two things together and stuff together?
That all depends on like what chord structure you're working with and stuff as well, right?
So I was just looking for some, like, generic sort of...
Well, because you know that's just you know it's music theory, right? But at the same time,
You have to create an effective transition.
yeah, you have to create it, but also you know just by gauging by ear, you know, and making sure that you're staying in complementary keys, you know, you can do pretty much anything. You know, as long as as long as you're within like complementary keys of each other, and it's just you know it'll work. You know. You know, you can go, like, things that work together, you can go from, like, a C to an F or things like that. But just it also depends on the chord. If you're playing, like, you know, if you're playing a 7th or a 5th or, you know, it's all different. It's all different keys, right? Did that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I know that, but what I want to know is, like, what are some good, I don't know, tips in Logic or, like, automation or, I don't know, reverse...
For key changes?
Yeah, just to get from one key to another without it sounding like you just smack two things together, they're transposed.
Well, you play them.
Right. Well,
You just go along, you know, like, you mute your part, you know, you've got your key going. And if it sounds good, and you like it, you know, and it's within the same, like, you know, within the same like structure of the chord or just the keys, just playing one key at a time. And also if you pick a chord, right, you've got a lot of little keys in there that to work with as well, right? So if you're like a, then you've got in there, you know what I mean? And you can do sub melodies and harmonies and things like that. It's it always depends on your musicianship as well, right? That's what everything comes down to, is that music is so subjective. There is no right and there is no wrong. If it sounds awesome and it's still within, staying within, being in harmony or even having a little harmonious discord, it's okay. Just the main thing is, as long as it sounds good, as long as you're hyped on it and other people hear it and no one's like, the hell just happened here? You know what I mean? Like, it's always good, the musicians' friends are very important. If you're friends with other DJs and producers, bouncing ideas off each other and collaborating, even if you're just fucking around, you'll learn each other's tips and tricks and secrets, right? It's like Highlander. You're going and you're working with someone, you're seeing how they're doing it, and you're like, holy shit, I don't do things like that. And so the more people you like hang out with and work off, you steal all their ideas, and they'll steal all your tricks and stuff, and it just makes you a better, more well-rounded person. I've worked on lots of different music with lots of people. I'm always learning stuff from them. Always just like, oh, you do it like this. Oh, wicked. And then that that betters you. You have another set of tools, and you go home and you practice their thing, or you're like, I never even used this effect for that, and you do it like this. Oh, awesome.
Oh, did we hear the finalized track?
What finalized track? Oh yeah, sure. Let's listen to it. Who are you people? Where am I? And obviously I didn't go through. Yeah. Obviously I didn't go through and do all the automation for everything. We just didn't have time, You can sit there forever, or you can do absolutely nothing. It really depends on how it sounds and how intricate you want things to be. Additions and all that stuff. And you don't want to get... There's a nice balance of too crazy and like cutting edge or just effective, Not all... like I say, everything depends on you and what you want to do, and... Also, another thing that's kind of fun to do is with your cheap microphone, make some weird-ass drums. Things like, a bowl with some change and some water, a baby rattle, like anything. When you record it and you chuck it in the Ultra Beat, or just you have the wave file of it or whatever, the possibilities are limitless. When you make all your own kits and stuff, it's really fun. And and you'll eat up a whole day just like making kits and running around your house and going, ooh, this chopstick on a teacup is way better than a cowbell, I've done that one, it's great. Pen on a desk, yeah. And just like doing weird stuff with your voice, making weird random textures and putting a lot of reverb and suddenly contorting into just like some weird sound. Like it's just endless, really. It's how creative you are is as far as you can take it, really. And if you're crazy, it's even better.
Why do my tears fall before I sleep? Memories of pain and hurt taking over me. Memories of pain and hurt taking over me.
We get the picture.
Nice.
There you go. Thank you. If anyone knows a good bar around here, I got a hangover I gotta get rid of.